Hey guys, it's Lori with A Voice in the Dark on YouTube. Lori Elliot, spiritscrossing.net, and I'm all over on social medias. I was just wanting to do a recap tonight of where this kind of started back in 2016 and 2020. I think it was 2020 I really started doing the writing, and some things that I started the channel to be a voice in the dark for people who are isolated and dealing with, because we usually go through depression and we're dealing with our inner shadow, which is our negative thoughts about ourselves and, other people, and which usually is, it all stems with something about us that we're not happy about. And anyway, so that's why I started the channel for. And then as I was paying attention to the news, and which is something I don't do very often because I don't have a TV. And I just get it off of YouTube or Facebook. You get the highlights on Facebook. But anyway, I just wanted to do a little bit of a recap on some of my favorite things that I've posted and just give you a little bite of each one and see where we've come in the last 4 years and where we might be heading in the next 4. I'm going to start with my proclamation. United we stand, divided we fall. And I wrote this in April of 2020. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for a common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. After many days of reflecting just what that statement, we the people, meant to our forefathers, and the country of men and women and beautiful, rich new space on the earth, was so moved to create such an astounding document, with laws and bylaws and amendments, with the Bill of Rights to forge a new world for themselves, with fairness, a voice for input, a freedom to live as they chose, religiously and partisanship, that would give value and consideration of each, a separation of church and state, so that we always would rule by minds that were in tune with the needs of the people, individual states, and the world. We rose up leaving some scars to the world of which we created for ourselves here. We learned that being big bad dog of the world felt good. We also learned and faltered at times to uphold the greatest creed in the known world, for the greater good of all. As we rose to power, we lost sight somewhere along the way that we are the one country that has expressed and given freedom to all those who passed through our Staten Island migration, because we were proud to lend a helping hand, for our grandfathers and grandmothers also came this way. Would it be easy for a newbie in this country? No, not really. But they also knew that with each day that they would contribute by working and service to community, that in time this would too be called their home. I believe that we, the people, have lost touch with the fundamental understanding of the Constitution and its truest purpose, that of liberty and justice for all, and freedom. Freedom to speak, to protest peacefully, to rise up with a complaint and be heard, to bear arms so that we may always defend our rights to the Constitution, of which was written to keep our freedom from any tyranny, ruling bodies that destroy or walk against the greater good of all. I believe in this time of distance and separation, we all could reflect and observe our own country. We should look at our original intent, Then examine that which is up to now a document that spelled out very informatively our way of common good, common concern, and common respect for each of us to live and worship as we please, bringing harm to none. I can only hope that my faith in the human condition, the heart of the human condition, will rise again, not from fear or hate, but from the heart that says, we, the people of the United States, will reassess that which we have become from that which was the original intent. We will sit in stillness and without thought of any other's responsibility, only our own, to those beautiful intentions of our forefathers, who knew what created tyranny and how to stop it from happening, how to regulate businesses so no one corporation could hold the bulk of any product, so that there would be fair trade, a responsibility for those companies in our communities to provide not only fair wages, but also a sense of true community, parks, clean air, clean water, safe working places, better hours for the employee, and a giving back to the community who, by virtue of working for said company while being paid, has also given that appreciation to the total community. A spiritual freedom to worship our God, gods, goddesses, or non, without ridicule or restriction, while not bringing harm to anyone. Let us start with the concept of blind justice is a moral principle, a proposition or value that is a guide for behavior or evaluation. Laws are created upon this principle that create the system for which they protect. A system to protect the interest and liberties of its citizenry. Sorry, it's my teeth. My new ones. Including those that may be in the minority. This is the basis of the amendments in the Bill of Rights. After reading through the amendments in the Bill of Rights, I paused and took a walk. So much thought went into these laws and written in layman's terms, so to be understood by all. I would suggest spending a day reading the Constitution and Bill of Rights. It will make you think, my Lord, what was that which was these forefathers had to flee and get away from that would cause such great thought and wording for the people? Imagine leaving your country, your home, to a new world where you hope to be part of a new world that actually has laws for the people, laws we fight for and live for, even as many as of us are different. Go into the Constitution and Bill of Rights and we become one again. For there is no law that was created without all of us thought of. Then maybe we will look at each other differently, perhaps drop our need to be right on any given propaganda or bullshit. Instead, maybe we could thrust our hands in welcoming our country, neighbor, and begin conversations that would help all of us to see what it is we need in our country to be genuinely great. Being great is not being a bully, nor is it forceful power. True power is based in the heart. Think about it. Why are we the best? Because we have heart. And that is what drives us. Perhaps we have grown a bit big and we have gotten caught up in our own small part of the country, that we have somehow forgotten what it meant to be in partisanship. We are to cooperate with each other and make decisions that are in the best for all. It's give and take. It's a balance and a dance. We can keep fighting, or we can take just a bit of time to review the basics and the basis of which our country was founded, and then reflect that which we seem so angry or hellbound need to be right for. You see, this country is set up for all of us, not the few, and certainly not the monopolies of foreign companies. These are just some of the things I think about. Blessings and love, Lori. Let us remember the heroes, the frontline, necessary workers, and those helpers that come from every walk of life, every nationality, and religious background. I would implore you to look at all the good being done and focus on the positive. As I run through the YouTube algorithms of my page, I find everyone coming out in various fields expressing the needs for oneness and stillness, to come together in thought, prayer, and meditation. I must agree, for we are on the precipice of a new world developing right before our eyes. Spirit is so strong in the world now that we have merely to tap in with a brief meditation daily to gain the rewards of Spirit working directly in our lives. The world has been here many times in history, but this is the only time that the human species has come this far in the heart center of love. It is love that is changing the world. Only 8% of the planet needed to be centered in love for this transition to take place. This is the first ever ascension by the human species. This is such a big deal that the whole universe is watching. Yes, not just angels and spirit, but many other advanced beings from other parts of unknown universes, to watch us as we transition into a realm of light vibration and beyond the third dimension. This is big, bigger than you know, so start meditating and catch up to the new vibrations coming onto the earth now. Luckily, it will take many of you to raise your vibrations quickly, since everything is happening now at a higher and faster speed. And over the last several years, we have been receiving light codes to heal our histories and past lives so that we will transition faster. Light workers have been on the planet for 60 plus years, helping prepare for the future ascension. The ascension is not what most people think, nor is the apocalypse, which means the great unveiling or reveal. Our truth of our genetics and our rulers of this part of the universe and our own planet. These are just some of the things I think about. And this is where I wrote this in May of 2020, because that's where I felt we were then, and it seems like we're still there. And anyway, I'm just going to keep reading and see what you guys think. Mexican standoff. A Mexican standoff is a confrontation in which no strategy exists that allows any party to achieve victory. Any party initiating aggression might trigger their own demise. At the same time, the parties are unable to extricate themselves from the situation without suffering a loss. As a result, all participants need to maintain the strategic tension, which remains unresolved until some outside event makes it possible to resolve it. I was thinking about the Democratic and Republican parties and the same old slogans they used to throw at us, the opposing party, each other, using the same old propaganda issues, as if the American people were dumb and wouldn't think about the other more devastating issues that were being systematically destroyed behind their backs, while the two supposedly separate parties play dodgeball with the same two balls every year. Abortion, healthcare, please. As if we could continually fall for such simple programming when we know there are lots of issues, and we are looking for someone who can express what those are and have some reference to at least an idea of how we might find a solution to said problems. I would not vote for either if we were at that point, but we are not. We still will have to pick one or the other right now, hence the above Mexican standoff. Now that's how I felt in 2020. Now here in 2024, I feel differently. I feel that we have a third party candidate for the president. And I believe that that in itself is very important for us. This could be a changing and a tipping point for the American people to stand up and let the Democrats and the Republicans know that we're tired of their shit, we're tired of the bullshit, and that we are willing to make a change. And so I'm going to vote for Robert Kennedy because I'm not afraid to make a change. I'm not afraid to make a statement. It doesn't hurt anyone. The president hardly has any power. It's the Senate and Congress we're trying to send a message to. If we're willing to step outside of our party to vote for a third party for president, what will we do next time we go to vote? The same kind of thing? Drop our party and go for a different party? Make them think. That's how I am now. So, we see a consistent bantering between the two parties, but we rarely hear any solutions or new ideas being talked about. This is not what the Constitution was created to do. When our forefathers wrote each of these or those amendments ever so clearly with the intention of having partisanship that would come together and discuss each issue and come to a cooperative solution that was best for the greater good of all. Mudslinging was not part of the idea at all. As I watch friends and family stiffen their backs and fight for what they believe to be right, I examine each exclamation of fire coming out, and unfortunately, I am not finding any subject matter to be complete or backed up with data. I am seeing propaganda being slung around like it's truth. And hey, even I get fired up over some of it. But is that what we are supposed to be doing? I think not. I believe sitting down at the round table so all are equally seen and heard. I believe we then should sit and look at all the facts. And we have become so used to the dog and pony show, we are missing the most important part of all this, and that is our voices demanding truth and facts from these governing people. We should also be instilling into these governing people that we expect this with everything. I also noticed that when the heat does get turned up on the truth, the parties, both Democrats and Republicans, will find a few other trigger points to sling around as diversions to our concerns. We are the ones they are playing as fools, but I'm here to say the American people are not fools. They are caring and passionate people who gave too much trust to the people they voted to govern. Our Constitution and Bill of Rights was created with the differences in mind so that we would come together and choose new laws for the greater good of all. That can take some time. What holds up laws getting passed is the extra crap they hide inside of the good health bill or good education bill. Perhaps we should demand a bill that states no longer will we allow more than one subject at a time in any bill to be voted on. Each subject shall have to stand on its own. Then everything is clear. Now we know why so much gets held up, and then it makes the other party as being uncooperative. So clear it up. Make all bills notice to the people, and each bill only have one subject, one action. I believe due to the Mexican standoff that our fine government has put themselves in will take a huge willful act of the people to get us beyond it and back at the table and back at creating laws for the greater good of all. We would not have so many poor if we had not have allowed the government to allow our mid-range jobs to be sent overseas locations where these corporations could pay less money in payroll. This is just one thing that has helped cause much of our poverty becoming a much bigger problem. Also, we need to put back some of our regulations that keeps big corporations from owning the majority in any product or service and causing a lack of competition for more fair pricing, fair news, healthcare, housing, fair wages. The corporations will tell you they will not continue to do business and people will lose their jobs. Well, they may leave, but then the employees can seek out buying the company or building and rebuild that industry and be employee owned. Do not ever let any company ever act like they are the control. We are. We are the numbers, and we are the workers and the purchasers. I say we have the upper hand. I say, go ahead, leave the country. We will build it better. Because, hey, that is what we do. Never underestimate the power of the passion of the people. If this time off with the virus has taught me anything, it has taught me we will survive and thrive, even when we are given cause to stop everything for a couple of months. As I watch and listen to all of discussions and banter about today's situation on racism, I merely wonder why are we not all coming together to seek solutions instead of arguing who is right? Lord, at this point, no one is right. So can we start conversations with facts based in history and start building solutions from where we are now? It doesn't really matter how we got here. What matters is where we go from here. The violence and rioting are not the right choice to help, but actually makes it worse. So this would stop. This should stop. However, we need to pay close attention to who is behind some of this and then ask ourselves why. Are we being manipulated into negative emotions? The propaganda is nothing more than emotional triggers that has been preset by the powers that be. It does not matter who or what has abated us and needed healed. Something in us is only moved so passionately by triggering a memory that keeps us from becoming healthy in our minds. So we might be the ones that rise up and begin helping with solutions instead of triggering and adding to the chaos with our negative emotions. It takes effort, but it is the direction we all must take to correct a bad juju in the world. Because we have change. Our country, states, communities, neighborhoods, our own streets. As we do this, we also heal the world. We do not yet understand our power. It comes from source. Very few in the world understand how it works, so they do not use it. The energies are heightened so much now. You really do not need to know anymore, but you do need to be aware that everything you produce in your thoughts and from your mouth is being turned into your own reality. Be wise from here on out. Spirit is moving through our reality in a much louder way now, and you must choose which path you are on because Spirit is making it happen almost instantly. Be aware. You can control your negative talk, both the inner and outer talk. Just become aware of it and allow yourself to feel a possible different voice coming through that gives you a warmed heart and a better, different view of things. This does not take away, but fills you more. We must be able to agree that each of us has pain and each of our feelings are important. As we address our own pains and we meld into a new view of the world, we will begin to find solutions and camaraderie with all. We must keep everything real. And we are the only ones that can do it. The media will not give us any balance or realness. They make money from our sensationalism. Keep it real in your own minds. Yes, there are critical acts going on, but they are also coming from different groups for different reasons. Let us stay positive and only focus on the peaceful people and join them in solidarity as we come together to bring solutions. There was a time we had plenty of work in this country for almost all people. Some 20 plus years ago, there was a shift in our government, and it began to slowly eradicate jobs from this country and took these jobs to other countries for the sake of the upper management to gain more. The middle class was taking a hit. As these incomes receded, so did the middle class into fields that did not pay as good. We even began seeing more homeless, more food stamps on the programs we provide for those down on their luck. Then we started taking more and more hits and inadequate incomes for the middle class. Again, another new wave of homeless and food stamp programs being created. This can be changed. We can turn it around. We need to think clearly and educated by going back to the last 30 years or so and truly look at how things really started changing as our faith in our government was abused and used for greater gain for special interest groups, not the people. This is our country, not the men we vote in or the large conglomerates. We have the power in our sheer numbers. Let us pull together as a group instead of allowing anyone to divide us. There was a book written back in the 70s, 80s called The Pale Horseman. I suggest the read with an open mind, then look back and see the comparisons of agendas we have been misled to believe or not. Every conspiracy channel has a bit of truth. It's allowed so that it caught the powers that be say, well, we did disclose it. You see, there are unknown rules to our world that we were not given up front as they were supposed to be. We have rulers on this planet, but they are supposed to make themselves known, and the directions they wish to go must be given to us. Then we can have a right to allow or disallow said changes. We are being handled like cattle instead of being treated as intelligent human beings. Will we put our heads into the sand, or will we dare to look for information that will allow us to make better decisions, or stop the powers that be from creating a world we would not choose? I would pray and then meditate on the above. Learn to listen to your inner voice. Learn to come from a place of compassion. Question for gullibility. Question your gullibility, or your angers, or your numbness. Awaken and come alive. We make the difference. Let us make them. Just things I think about. I'll stop there for tonight. But I wanted you to see how 4 years ago I started these writings. And again, we're still in the same position 4 years later. So what I'm saying is, it's time to start really taking a serious look at ourselves, the world, and our own country. And we need to be the leaders the United States of America does, so that other countries can follow through like we did, the people. Or are we going to continue to just let the powers that be in this world work us like slave labor and use us as mercenaries throughout the world? Because that's what it seems to be to me. And I think that it's time that the American people looked at their black neighbor, looked at their Chinese neighbor, looked at their Mexican friends, because we all have them, and say, you know what, I'm standing with you. And look at your women and say, I'm standing with you. Because I don't know too many men out there that didn't ask the woman that they didn't want to have a child with, the first thing out of their mouth was the term abortion. So be men and stand up for the women. Admit what your first reaction is every time a woman tells you she's pregnant. Please, for once, do the right thing. Men, for women. And when a woman says no, in a party, a group setting, stand up for her and tell them, no, she said no, leave her be. For once, stand up and be real men. I love you. Have a good night. And it's just time. It's time for us to stand together. Being divided between men and women is foolish. Being divided according to religion and sect and it's not race, it's culture, skin color. Because the only race here is human. That's it. Well, there are a few, what do you call them? There's a few aliens here, but, you know. And I'm not talking about Mexican or immigrants. I'm talking about aliens. That would be the rulers. So what I'm saying is, we have the power to tell them we do not consent to the choices they're making for humanity on the planet, period. Are we going to stand up and tell them? Are we, as the American people, as the example for the world, because we were already great, are we going to stand up together, no division, as partisanship, cooperation? I'm sure most of you have seen Sesame Street. It takes a whatever it takes. We're all different, but we all know that everyone's got a place. And I think we've let it run amok long enough for them to prove that they do not know what they're doing, and that it isn't in the benefit at all for the people, the human race. And this is our time. This is our 2,000 years, golden years, not theirs. God said so. So, are we going to, God doesn't do everything just magically for us. He expects us to use the brain that we were given, our 2 legs, our 2 hands, our mouths, to be part of the action and the difference that's needed. So what say ye? Will we take on Middle Earth or not? That is the question at this point. What do we want to be in this new world? Do we want to be slaves? Do we want to be, just sitting in front of the boob tube or the telephone? I mean, I've been addicted to it too. Or do we want to be neighbors again, and friends, and family, and not just our block, not just our own communities, not just our own churches, but as a whole, with all our differences, and celebrate them and learn about each other and how our unique differences are very similar in a lot of ways and just uniquely different enough to make it interesting. So that's what I say. Anyway, that's Lori signing out. Sunday night podcast. I'll catch you probably Wednesday. Talk to you later. Bye.